boy. So you might have noticed that a lot of people are talking about bears right now. There hasn't been an uptick in interest.
And not just because it's Pride Month.
In nature documentaries, and no, they're not talking about that stressful cooking show featuring the tragic little chef with big sad blue eyes. About a month or so ago, a hypothetical was presented in a street interview and started to be shared around social media. Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
And almost unanimously, women everywhere have answered that they would prefer the bear.
Bear. With a bear.
Bear.
Yeah.
Probably a bear. Definitely a bear.
A bear.
The response to this, of course, has
Seems pretty simple to me. Why are men mad? What? Men are mad about this?
been for men to initiate a thoughtful discussion about the topic.
I never hit a woman violently.
You should expect an encounter with slippery skin soon enough.
Okay. If you're mad about a TikTok where women are choosing to be stuck alone in a forest with a bear, to the point that you are offering up an argument as to why you, a man, have never hurt a woman, that's really strange. If your instinct is to put yourself in the middle of this, like it's a personal affront to you, why? Why are you so personally offended? Why? What is that about? I feel like these comments explain it pretty succinctly. Let me see. These comments from the man versus bear debate.
At family reunions. The worst thing the bear can do is kill me. The bear sees me as a human being.
Wow!
After what those men did to that monitor lizard, the bears are not safe with men either. The bear doesn't get enjoyment out of it. The bear didn't pretend to be my friend for months beforehand. No one will say that I liked the bear attack.
Oh!
No one will talk about the bear's bright future. If the bear and the man both want to hurt me and I scream loud enough, there's a better chance that the bear will actually run away. A bear wouldn't film it and send it to all his friends. The men getting angry at this don't realize that there are fates worse than death. Ask Junko Furuta, Sadie Robinson, Shanann Watts if they would choose the man or the bear.
Yeah, I think that I think that sums it about up. Yep. Too fucking real, man. Too real. The response from men became, okay, bros, would you rather tell your feelings to a wall or a woman? There's no hypothetical. There's no hypothetical that's equal to it. You know, it's like, would you rather tell your feelings to a wall or woman is supposed to be the alternative, like for men, versus would you rather be stuck in a forest with a bear or a man? Or, yeah, would you rather be stuck in a forest with a bear or a man? There's no male equivalent. Right.
No one said anything about serial killers. Nobody said anything about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Would I rather my mom be in the woods with a guy or a creature that would hunt her, jump up, grab her by the face, chomp down, cause her to have to take her thumb, jab it into its eyes?
So, let's talk about it. Just a quick warning up top, we are going to be getting into some pretty dark territory here.
And again, I will say the men who are responding angrily to this are who the women are thinking about when they're picking the bear. When a woman picks a bear over a man, that's who she's thinking about.
Here, while I'll be doing my best to stay within YouTube's guidelines, I'm gonna have to cover some upsetting material. So I thought maybe we could lighten the mood a little bit. Rawr. This costume is extraordinarily hot. I already regret this decision, but I'm committed. Now, am I potentially gonna make a few people upset with this video? Do I in the woods. Yes, but I think this conversation is very important, so if you are someone who got angry the moment you saw the thumbnail, then I would just ask that you bear with me and watch till the end of the video. Okay? Okay, let's start off by clarifying some things, because despite the fact that this hypothetical is extremely simple, there seems to be a lot of people unintentionally, and perhaps intentionally, misunderstanding it. First off, you don't get to choose the man you're stuck in the woods with, like this charming fellow whose favorite Pop-Tart flavor is cinnamon. Apparently. That would obviously...
Oh my god. This is like the whole not all men. It's like, yeah, okay. That's not like this is
First off, you don't get to choose the man you're stuck in the woods with, like this
is well, actually I have a couple thoughts on this, where again, this is someone presenting themselves as, look at how great I am, why wouldn't you want to be trapped with me? Which my first instinct was to be like, when women are talking about not wanting to be trapped with a man over a bear, they're thinking about male predators, okay? They're thinking about bad men. But then my second instinct is to again be like, why are you trying to defend, why are you inserting yourself personally into this hypothetical? That is very weird. Do you think that this is going to do something for you? I don't know. Why does it feel like some dudes are choosing to do this as like a you should date me? Loves his mom and dad. I don't give a fuck.
Charming fellow whose favorite Pop-Tart flavor is cinnamon. Apparently. That would obviously destroy the whole point of the hypothetical. If it's a choice between a bear or, say, Bear Grylls, I'm choosing the survivalist who will return my happy ass back to its natural habitat, sitting in front of my computer, playing Fallout 4 again, because the only type of light that should be touching this delicate skin is blue. This debate has quickly devolved into one side presenting
thank you for the 8
statistics,
months.
personal testimonies, and criminal cases, while the other side taps the heels of their red pill slippers together, screaming,
Mike,
not all men, not all men, not all men,
yeah.
with their fingers jammed in their ears. Ooh, it's a random manga panel with barely legible text. I'll be here all week. I'm sure I'm about to read something intellectually stimulating. Remember, it's man or bear, not fist or bear. Hey, quick question, weeb. Who's doing all the assaults then? Because as we've mentioned on this channel before, according to the NSVRC, 1 in 5 women has experienced assault or attempted assault during her lifetime. That's millions of women, and unless they're all being harassed by Diddler Dave, who is skewing the statistics with his incredible efficiency, mathematically speaking, there must be a non-trivial amount of men committing this type of crime. How these MFers feel after making all men feel like they are rapists. Hey bud, you see how these two things are not the same? Isn't it so cool how they are not the same? But since
Yeah, exactly. And again, it always feels like a self-report when women are describing the horrible experiences they've had with men, or talking about like systemic issues, or doing something like a hypothetical and answering, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a bear or a man? Like a man at random, you don't know who it is. And feels like a self-report every time, where it's like, so you think that we're all rapists? It's like, why are you getting so defensive? Why are you as an individual as no part of this? Like, you have not been specifically mentioned in this. So personally offended. Thank you for the raid. And Bear Cillium, thank you for the 9 months. Dead Smurf account, thank you for the 15.
we don't want men to feel bad about themselves, please tell us which ones women should avoid. Do they walk differently than other men? Talk differently? What kind of shoes do they wear? Look, imagine you're at a party. I know, just suspend your disbelief. Imagine you're at a party and somebody walks in with a bowl of M&Ms. Super lazy for a potluck, but whatever. Now imagine you knew that some of these M&Ms were poisoned. Would you take that risk? I mean, come on, they're not all poisoned. What are you, some kind of freak who prefers Skittles? That's the position that women are put in whenever they interact with a man. They have to just put their hand in that bowl and hope for the best. So I'm as bad as any serial killers now.
Also, I love Skittles, so I have to disagree with that, okay?
You came to that completely unrelated and self-centered conclusion. That must be really hard for you. But don't feel too bad for him, though. Because if you make the mistake of defending pity parties like this one, you might just make yourself a target. Like this minor running a Star Wars meme account who said that she would choose the man and then was immediately overwhelmed by hordes of freaks, commenting graphic descriptions of what they would do to her as a reward. Great job, fellas. This is so dumb.
Proving
if the man
the
is my
point.
husband or dad, brother, best friend, he would kill himself protecting you. Not sure what kind of men you guys know. Interesting, irrelevant factoid, Helen. Too bad I don't get to choose your heroic family members and or friends in this scenario. For your information, the kind of men I know...
I also like have to point out the stark truth, which is that sometimes the same man is one woman's hero and another woman's nightmare. Okay? Just let's remember that. Like, many times the same man can be great, seems great to the daughter or the wife or the sister or the friend or whatever, but is someone else's monster. So aside from, once again, why are you getting so specific in this hypothetical where nobody's talking about this being your brother or your dad? That also just doesn't hold up.
Are frankly epic, and I love to hang out with them because they laugh at my jokes. But they're also just kind people who are sympathetic and understanding when I bring up women's issues, instead of blowing a blood vessel trying to defend their honor.
I ain't never hit a woman violently. I ain't never put a violent hand on a woman. I ain't never assaulted a woman. No, none of that. Ever.
Wow, man.
Okay, great.
That's super cool. Should we throw a party?
Should we throw a party? Should we tell Bella Hadid?
Should we invite the Dalai Lama?
The hypothetical is, would you rather encounter the average adult human male in the woods when you are alone, or a bear? No one said anything about serial killers. Nobody said anything about Jeffrey Dahmer. Stop changing the hypothetical.
Wrong. You were the one changing the hypothetical. The man in the forest could be any man, from the most dangerous, perverted sicko that's ever roamed the streets to a Ned Flanders-esque fatherly figure holding an impossibly delicious mug of hot chocolate. I feel like I'm going insane. It's a random man or a random bear. So questions like, what if the man is nice? What if the man is me? What if I have a gun? What if the man is gay? What if the bear is gay? Are completely irrelevant. The bear is gay, though. Instead of trying to understand why women might feel unsafe around men, many men have decided that women are simply uninformed about the dangers of bear attacks and have taken it upon themselves to educate them.
My mom got mauled by a bear. Here's a book she wrote about it. Here's a better look. So even though the question's not really in good faith, probably, I have some experience with this question.
Just because women are answering a question in a way that makes you personally uncomfortable doesn't mean that the question was asked in bad faith. Now, after going over the details of his mother's injuries, which she thankfully survived, he concludes with this.
So if you're asked this question and you take more than a second to come up with the same species as your answer, then honestly, I'm grateful that you've lived such a privileged life that you're...
Wow, okay. I hate this guy. Also, how many times do we watch horror movies or, specifically monster films where the threat is not necessarily the monster that's not human? You know what I mean by that? Where like oftentimes there's the human threat in the film. Like, it's actually a big part of having an emotional core in this type of genre. like who's the real monster type of thing.
Answer is the bear.
Interesting. I wonder, would you call Junka Furuta privileged? How about 12-year-old Kimberly Leach? Was she privileged? You know what? I think I'm gonna have to read your mom's book because the details just really aren't adding up for me. You see, I know that bear. It's a good friend of mine, and it's never attacked me.
Honestly, the stats on bear attacks not even that bad.
Are you sure she didn't want the bear to attack her?
It don't sound like that lady wanted to choose the bear. It sounded like she wanted to choose the man instead.
Whoa, wait. You're telling me that bears are apex predators? That they're not cuddly rainbow friends that solve problems with the magic of kindness? That they don't make marmalade sandwiches and talk in British accents? Gulp. What am I gonna do now?
Fellas, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a woman or a bear? Let me know, because I think, you know what?
That hypothetical doesn't work. It just simply, the hypothetical only works with men. You can't do this with women. Because women are not predators. They are not a physical danger to men like vice versa. What are we doing? Truly, if this silly TikTok hypothetical has exposed one thing, it's once again how personally offended some men get at the idea that many women have been damaged and continue to be damaged and hurt by men.
I think I would rather choose the bear.
Fragility.
Because at least with the bear's not gonna just date me for my money and in the divorce take half my stuff.
Okay,
or more.
dude.
The worst possible thing
yeah, I know where Funky is going with this.
Is dipping into your bank account, dude? I've seen so many men try to reverse the bear.
This is always what happens with these conversations where the issue at the center is how men are predators to women, okay? How physically men can be of a danger to women because of how often this is the reality. And men always turn around, they're like, oh yeah, well, women will hurt you by taking your money, or women will hurt you by like cheating on you. It's like, okay, you understand that we're talking about sexual violence. Like we're talking about physical violence, sexual violence being a part of that. Physical violence versus the equivalent to what women can do is take your money in a divorce.
Versus man hypothetical to air out their petty grievances with women only to inadvertently reveal what a different reality they live in, largely unaffected by the day-to-day precautions women must take for their own safety. I shouldn't have to say
the woman
this,
in the woods
but
is going to take me to divorce court. I'm
nagged
scared.
or your ex-wife boinking your buddies is not comparable to being attacked by a bear. I think this comment is the perfect response to all the bear-splaining. Worst case scenario, the bear would just kill me. Choosing the bear over the man comes down to a very logical comparison of possible outcomes. The bear is an animal operating off of instinct. You've invaded its home, and if it responds with aggression, it's doing so to either defend or feed itself. A man, however, is capable of prolonged, excruciating, and degrading forms of torture, requiring a level of creativity and hatred that an animal simply could not comprehend. The man understands your screams for help, knows what he's doing is wrong, but continues anyways, not out of necessity, but pleasure. It's that situation that is so horrifying that women would choose being mauled to death by a bear to avoid it.
So dudes, if you're getting personally offended, if you're doing the not all men, listen to this. understand what women are saying with this, okay? And if you can't face this reality and understand it as anything other than a personal attack on you when no one is personally mentioning you, then that is an indicator that there's a real problem here, that you're part of the problem. Okay? Because obviously, not all men, but always a man. That's what we say. Not all men, but always a man. We understand. Women understand it's not every single man, but it does not erase the reality of the society and the world that we live in, where men are perpetrators of so much violence to women because of gender roles, because of because of the patriarchy, because that it has been this way for so long. And so as men who don't want to be part of the problem, you can't think as if your mindset cannot be that you are singly being targeted out. Okay, like then you are part of the problem. If that's what your instinct is to be personally offended and try and defend yourself on an individual basis.
Both men and women don't know is that it's actually the crystallized honey epidemic ravaging local bear populations that they should be worried about.
Also, it's been pointed out if you're attacked by a bear, other people will help you. It's not a guarantee with a man. Many points to be made.
As often happens in these situations, men have suddenly decided to elevate a concern that they seem to only be interested in when it serves to silence discussions of women's safety. That is, of course, male victims of female perpetrators. I accidentally tasted the marker. Alright guys, let's make a circle representing all men and a circle representing all women. Haha, boobs. I'm trying, guys. I'm really trying. Now let's make another circle in red representing, well, you get the idea. You see how a lot of that circle is on the men's side? Not all, because you can still believe and support male victims while acknowledging the basic reality that an overwhelming majority of people who commit this type of abuse are men. Isn't it crazy how you can care about both these things at the same time? For any man out there who has been victimized by a woman, I wish nothing but healing for you. But men and little boys aren't considered spoils of war for women to violate by the millions after achieving victory in a conflict instigated and carried out by women. There are no countries where little boys are habitually married off to aging women collecting young males for their harems. There are no places where men are advised to only travel with a female chaperone lest they be attacked in the night by dangerous women. There isn't legislation for digital cameras and smartphones to make an audible shutter noise when taking a picture because women just couldn't stop themselves from taking pictures down men's pants on public transportation. I am enthusiastically in support of any awareness raised for male victims that challenges the patriarchal demand that men stoically suffer their trauma in silence. Baby Reindeer is a recent piece of media that does an excellent job of this, but if you're someone who only mentions their experiences or the experiences of others to weaponize against women, I have to question your motivations. A lot of people have been saying that this hypothetical was only created to make men look bad and stoke unnecessary controversy, which is a convenient thing to believe if you are unaffected by the reality represented by the hypothetical. I'm sure back in the day when men would come home from work and their wives were yapping about having the right to vote, they would have preferred their steak dinner be uninterrupted by such divisive ideas. In response to realizing just how afraid women are of being attacked by men, men have done everything in their power over the past few weeks to reassure them. that they made the right choice. For instance, drawing graphic images of women being torn apart by bears, posting videos of bears eating their prey, and joking about it being a woman instead. Making up scenarios where they're armed and capable of defending a woman from a bear, but choose not to punish her for being a feminist, using a clip of Pedro Pascal of all people. How dare you invoke his image in vain?
Slippery skin. This unknown entity has been spotted in many places, with recent sightings primarily in the forest. Further research has shown that slippery skin is likely to attack people who would rather encounter a bear than a man in the woods. To increase your chances of safety, we advise against expressing such preferences near forested areas.
Your response to women saying that they would feel unsafe alone in the woods with a strange man was to make an AI-generated video of a monster that hunts them down. Wow, how very cool and normal of you. You definitely seem like the type of guy a woman would feel safe in the woods with.
What men are out there saying how much they...
Yeah, challenge to be normal. Difficulty level impossible. And something that's actually going to be brought up in the next video we watch, which is the Hollywood Reporter Roundtable, is the issue of sexual violence, specifically rape, throughout the decades of film and television. And if you study the use of rape in films, it is almost always, especially like not in recent years, I will say. In recent years, there's been more of an exploration in sexual violence against men, but the majority of sexual violence in cinema has always been towards women, and it is used either as a plot point or as a character motivation for men. And when it comes to female leads who've been raped, it's used as a way to motivate them into revenge. And so that's just like another example of how normalized sexual violence against women is in society, and how often it's been used so crudely and is shown so shown without any care or tact on TV, and without really a reason to it. Now, I'm not saying that there can never be an importance to the story when it comes to sexual violence, but the way that it has been mostly handled, and how often it is a motivating factor for the male character to then go on his hero pursuit as the woman who was sexually violated, who was raped, is just a footnote in the story. So there are many examples like the ones FunkyFrogBait listed that I can't believe have to be said when it comes to the reality of how women in this world are treated, the violence that they endure. Like it is one of those things where you just you can't believe that you have to keep pointing out statistics and the reality of it. Yawn Fortnite when? I don't know. Why don't you go Google who's playing Fortnite and go bother them? How about that? Yawn Fortnite when? Okay, we're not playing Fortnite. And this is actually probably something that people like you need to listen to. I guarantee that you do not have a you are not of valid opinions when it comes to this topic. So why don't you go Google or why don't you go search on Twitch, whoever's playing Fortnite, and go be a nuisance over there. Anyway, anyway. And I think like what Funky was saying about male victims of sexual violence and how any victim of sexual violence is a victim, right? But it doesn't negate the reality of who overwhelmingly the perpetrators of sexual violence are. And also how many male victims of sexual violence are victims of men. Like male victims of sexual violence are not solely victimized by women. Often it is by men as well. So they are also victims of male sexual violence. But if you if you are a man and a victim of sexual violence, it is a horrible thing. And just like all victims, you deserve peace and you deserve justice. But you cannot use that as like a negation of the reality of men being the main perpetrators of sexual violence.
Want to be violent with women who pick the bear.
As it turns out, a lot of them. Here's some fun examples. In response to a woman saying she would choose the bear.
Curious how they always bring it up every time women's issues are brought up?
So yeah. I'll to yours. Or this one that digs a real stinker out of the old 4chan lexicon.
Like I can guarantee you that if I were to tweet, I'm choosing the bear over the man, my comments and my DMs would be filled with men saying the most violent things toward me, because they already are. They already are. And so if I were to jump into the bear man thing and tweet that, like that's the reality, is that I know the comments that I would receive. Just like the reality of me being a woman, having a lot of women in my life, I don't know a single woman who has not been violated. And I think I can say, just based on not just anecdotal evidence, but on real statistics, that most women in here probably are the same. Or men in here, the women in your lives, like the sad truth being, most of us have at one point or another. And unfortunately for me, and I'm sure a lot of people in here, that's been multiple, like it's not just one time that it's happened, have been violated. And we've talked about this before, where sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes years to know that what happened to you was violent. Like it takes time for your brain to catch up to your body. That like your body might have known at the time, but you didn't have the language or the understanding to recognize that. I mean, it's crazy that every single woman in my family, and there are 5 of us, has, when we were children, which includes my mom when she was a child, been exposed, had a male adult expose themselves to us. Like individual experiences with this. Like I remember when this happened to my baby sister. I remember that happened and being like, God damn it, you too. And I remember like hearing that had happened to my mother when she was a child. Like that's just one experience of so many. My mom too, she just casually dropped her lore. That is the sad and awful reality of it. And it's why the like listen to women and believe women. That's also what this is. Listen to our stories. Listen to our experiences. This isn't just anecdotal. Like it is anecdotal, and I think anecdotal is important because it can help put like a personal it can put a personal factor to it But this is just the reality. And the thing is, every time I bring this up, you see that and even if my female chatters aren't putting this in chat, I'm sure they think of all the things, all the things that have happened to them or the women in their lives. So anyway.
Wade, when I am done with you, you will beg for the bear. I love how there is just a plethora of derogatory terms specifically for women, but incels still had to...
And for the thousandth time, when we're talking about women's issues, it is not the time for a man to try and use their individual experience. And I don't mean this as like, if you're a victim, it doesn't count. You cannot use that to negate women's issues. Okay. You can't use that as a way to say that this is not something that women deal with on a daily basis. Your trauma, the violence against you, is unacceptable. It's horrible, but never use that as a way to act as if it is equal between men and women when it comes to sexual violence. It's not. Sexual violence or just violence against gendered violence. It's simply not.
Rub their greasy little noggins together to...
Can a man use their own experience to empathize? Of course. Of course. And I hope I'm making it clear that men who have had awful, traumatic things happen to them, that your experiences are, of course, valid, but that it's bullshit if you try and turn around and use that as evidence that this is something that equally affects men and women, that this is something that women are complaining about, but men too. Like, no, that's not the reality, and it never has been. That's not the world that we live in. It's also the patriarchy that prevents male victims of women from being taken seriously as victims. Male victims of violence in general, yes. It's like how white people can suffer too from white supremacy. It's like how apartheid, like the Israeli government's apartheid, negatively affects Israelis. And it's like how the patriarchy, misogyny, toxic masculinity also has a detrimental effect on men. It's why men have been taught that, like, oh, if you've been violated, no, you haven't, you're a pussy. There's no such thing as male rape. And women who repeat that, where the fuck do you think that comes from? That's a huge problem. This idea that there's no such thing as male rape, that men cannot be victims of sexual violence. Where do you think this comes from? Toxic masculinity hurts so many men, it's fucked up, and so many men don't even see it. It's like a fish in water. Yeah, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating for men who refuse to see how toxic masculinity hurts them too. It's like, oh, you ever want to experiment and wear some colorful clothing? Oh, you feel like painting your nails just because it's fun? Oh, you want to wear something sparkly because sparkles are cool and it's not just for women? But toxic masculinity decrees that you can't do that, or else you're gay or you're a woman. And so there's just many examples of how toxic masculinity hurts men too. So we got to stop it. Patriarchy getting groomed by older women equals a score. Right. Or it's like, ooh, an older woman is into you when you're a young boy. That's not cool. That's not like a hot MILF being after you. That's grooming. That's sexually violating you. Like, and then going along with that of men not being able to talk to other men. Men can't, they can't tell their feelings to other men. They can't be emotional with other men. Where do you think this all comes? Where do you think that comes from? Wish it was me as a kid. Haha is the typical response. Yes. Atlantic Tuna, thank you for the 9 months. Katie, thank you for the gifted. Monty G, thank you for the gifted. And the 13 months.
come up with a spicy new slur. But don't worry, ladies. I'll protect you. I guess when it comes down to it, I'm just shocked that men disagree so strongly.
That is categorically untrue. You can look up domestic abuse statistics that don't involve crime statistics. Women are more likely to commit domestic abuse. You're smoking crack. You're simply smoking crack. You are smoking on that bad crack. Truly. Truly. There are more male victims of men than male victims of women, not to diminish the former, but the latter is an important statistic to remember when talking about male perpetrators. Right. Exactly. That's why I said men are victims of men as well. Like, of course, there are female perpetrators of violence or sexual violence. But let's not forget who the main perpetrators of male-on-male sexual violence are. And let's never pretend as if women are the main perpetrators of domestic abuse. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you think, like, why do you think there are specifically domestic violence shelters for women and children? Do you think that maybe has to do with the fact that this issue is one that is almost completely committed by men?
With women's answer to the bear versus man hypothetical, because from my perspective,
women instigate it way more, but men finish it. You are also smoking crack, and that sounds like victim blaming. Women instigating it, that's saying, well, the women were asking for it. That's disgusting. Where, like, people, men in here who are coming in with these comments, you're just making things up to fit your narrative that women are just as bad or that women are worse. Like, I don't know what the fuck we're doing here. Why 2024 we're still lying like this? Like, face the reality here and understand that if you are needing to make things up like this, if you are feeling personally offended, like you have to defend all men, then it's a self-report. That's what it is. Like, you are exposing yourself for being a part of the problem. I heard something the other day that blew me away. Women go to halfway homes because the men somehow keep the property and capital even when they're the offender. I'm a guy. It was an moment. Yeah, I hope what I hope for men is that they all have those aha moments where they're like, oh shit, because you might not be an abusive piece of shit, but you also might not be aware of the reality of men who are and how many there are. Yeah, here's some domestic violence facts, okay? On average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. Like, domestic violence is a prevalent issue in this country, in this world. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence, intimate partner contact sexual violence, and or intimate partner stalking with impacts such as injury. Okay, blah, 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 blah. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men have been victims of severe physical violence, beating, burning, strangling by an intimate partner in their lifetime. 1 in 7 women, 1 in 18 men have been stalked by an intimate partner during their lifetime. Women between the ages of 18 to 24 most commonly abused. Okay, this is kind of just blanketed stats. Males perpetrate 95% of all serious domestic violence. Males are most often... Oh, sorry, this is a different stat that was on homicide. 90% of people who commit violent physical assault are men. Males perpetrate 95% of all serious domestic violence. The U.S. Department of Justice estimates that 95% of reported assaults on spouses or ex-spouses are committed by men against women. It is estimated that 1 in 4 men will use violence against his partner in his lifetime. Close to all, 99.8% of the people in prison convicted of rape are men. Some 81% of men who beat their wives watched their fathers beat their mothers or were abused themselves. Studies found that men are responsible for 80 to 95% of child sexual abuse cases, whether the child is male or female. The majority of victims of men's violence are other men. Anyway, I always forget when we talk about like this was, of course, started off as, hey, what's the man or bear TikTok hypothetical? And then we get into a conversation about gendered violence and about sexual violence. And it's just a reminder every time that there are always going to be men who, when we have this conversation, there are always going to be men who want to act as if the world we live in is not the world that we live in. And I would like to live in a world where this is not the case. I would love to live in a world where men are not a physical threat to women, and that the reality of being a woman in this world is not one where you have most likely been the victim of sexual violence. Like, I don't want to live in that world at all. I would like to I would like to live in a world where sexual violence and violence in general happens to no one, children, women, men. But until we live in a world like that, we have to start by being honest about the realities of the world that we live in now and what we need to do to work towards a better world. And unfortunately, women cannot fix alone the issue of sexual violence against us. Like, men who are the good guys. If you're a good dude, you know what role you have to play in this world, and it's helping to stop violence against women. And that, you know, that is a number of things you can do, but starting with not being an enabler, like not allowing bad men who do commit violence against women, to do so. And I don't mean going off on some like revenge, like some Batman revenge quest, but I mean like if your buddies are talking in the way, like doing locker room talk, we got to stop it. Like calling it out. Exactly. Holding your friends accountable. Exactly. And it's hard. Of course. Of course it's hard. It's easier to just stay quiet. And even if you're not saying those things, even if you don't do those things, you're still allowing that behavior to take place. Recognizing your role in the oppressor's class is incredibly necessary. Exactly. Men have to hold other men accountable because you see what happens when women try to do it, right? That's why I say, like, I wish it were enough for women to speak up and to talk about these issues. But unfortunately, it's not. You see what happens when a woman says, oh yeah, I'd pick a bear over a man in the woods. You see the way that men react. So, yeah. Men have to hold men accountable. They do.
Men are constantly announcing to the world how dangerous they are. Last time I checked, women haven't been the ones to dominate directors' chairs in Hollywood, yet the media I've been fed my whole life has been full of dads with shotguns, repressed nerds committing crimes under the guise of harmless pranks, and suave protagonists forcing themselves on young girls. I thought we were all on the same page here. Try this fun social experiment. Tell a man in your life that you think Game of Thrones would have been better without the graphic violence. Watch him combust, insisting that the historical integrity of the show about dragons would be destroyed if he wasn't allowed to watch conventionally attractive actresses stripped and acts of brutality simulated on them from the comfort of his living room. As someone who's been playing video games since—
Yeah, and also over and over and over again. Not just one time where it's like, okay, yeah, we get it. Repeatedly. Where you get to a point where how can you not see that this is just gratuitous? It's just gratuitous sexual violence against women.
These were still popular. I've always been painfully aware of how men will do anything they can to make women feel unsafe in a space they feel belongs to.
Are you fucking serious? Am I fucking serious about what? Dip schlit. Are you fucking serious? Are you? Are you fucking serious? My whole shtick? What's my shtick? No, let him answer. What's my shtick? Your username is Dipschlit. Why is it always the people who have usernames like Dipschlit who come in here to be like, are you fucking serious? You bitch. Okay, Dipschlit. I'm gonna give you one chance. What am I fucking serious about? What's my shtick? Was it the part where I said that I don't want to live in a world where anyone is a victim of sexual violence? Oh, is that what you heard? All men bad? Why am I not shocked? Why am I not shocked that what your takeaway from this has been is that all I've said is that all men are bad? Is that because that's what you wanted to hear? All you want to hear is a woman like me saying, all men are evil, all men are bad. That's what you want to hear, and you know it. You're not fooling anyone. You know it. You're not fooling anyone. That when a woman talks about issues against women, all you want to hear is that all men are bad, because maybe it'll make you feel better that women want nothing to do with you. Anyway, I'm done with them.
To them. It's a well-documented phenomenon that women who dare to impede on this territory are constantly subjected to dehumanizing threats.
Oh, be honest with me. Do you know what feels like?
No, I don't actually.
Well, do you want to know?
Are you saying you're gonna me?
Can we not body shame to make a person who is an asshole feel bad? What is wrong? What is wrong with your brain? What is wrong with your brain? Tell me where I body shamed. Why are you all making things up in your brains? Why? What is going on? What is going on? This is not drama class. This is not improv. Why are we making things up? I'm losing brain cells rapidly. We're all losing brain cells rapidly. Truly. So many people making things up. Protect folks in here, protect your brain cells, okay? Protect your brain cells, because Jesus, man, we should know by now, though. We should know by now that subjects like this are gonna bring that out, because I could talk about anything and it would bring out the most smooth-brained freaks. So yeah, when I'm talking about this topic, it's gonna be on overdrive. I'm making a tinfoil hat as we speak. Good God. Goodness, we really poked the bear on this one. I see what you did there. Lannis, thank you for the 20. Thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Maybe one of those subs will go to somebody, one of these smooth brain freaks who perhaps when it goes to an ad break, they're missing out on some important information here, so they fill it in with whatever they've made up in their brains. So maybe now that they don't have to have ads anymore, they can hear everything that we're talking about in here. So they don't have to they don't have to just write their narratives. What is going on? What's going on is we are on the internet. We are on a platform where a lot of people are either not used to these types of conversations and don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And it's also me. Hi, let's remember that. Maybe they can listen and learn something. We'll see. We'll see. But thank you for the 20. I appreciate it. Girk, thank you for the 7 months. Zor, thank you for the 12. I think people were memeing when they were joking about women being eaten by bears. Everybody was taking it too seriously. Here's the thing. They might seem like they're joking, but you have to understand where this is coming from, and it's actually they're not joking about it. They are offended that women in what was supposed to be a lighthearted TikTok, would you choose a man or a bear in the woods? They took something and made it about themselves. And so these jokes that they are producing are really not jokes at all. It's a way, I think that mindset of, well, they're just joking is an out for them. Be like, oh, they're really not mad. Yes, they are. They are mad. They are mad. They are mad enough that they responded to a TikTok that they were not personally a part of. They responded with their own, like, here's my whole argument as to why I'm a good guy. I've never beaten a woman. My mom loves me. Like, they're mad. To respond, to make a TikTok or a tweet or any personal response to that says that they are mad. And the thing is that when we dismiss it as jokes, it's just like when comedians make terrible domestic violence jokes like Matt Rife and try to get away with it by saying it's just a joke, but it's not just a joke. Because what it really reveals is how you view sexual violence against women. Caroline, I know it's hard to ignore the clowns, so I just want to say thank you for doing what you do, talking about these things. Too many people are afraid to talk. A lot of people truly couldn't handle the backlash you do. Thank you for what you do. Well, normally I actually ignore. I'm very good at ignoring. There are certain nights that I do feel it warrants a response. And I also took yesterday off, so just a joke equals Schrodinger's asshole. Yeah, like I think the saying just a joke is an out for these men who view sexual violence against women as a joke. Even saying it's just a joke is a defense mechanism for being afraid of how men would react. All right, let's finish this up. Drax, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you. As Silent612, thank you for the tier 1. Anonymous, thank you for the gifted. And just a reminder that I have obviously a lot of girlies in this community, but there's also a lot of men in this community. So if you really think I'm a streamer whose whole shtick is that I hate men, that all men are evil, well, there are lots and lots of men in this community. And I don't know, I mean, maybe some of them are hate watchers, but there's a lot who are here because they know what I'm saying. They hear me. They're not looking for words to put in my mouth. They're not looking to feel like victims. They're not a part of this community because they think I hate them. Also, shout out to my envies. Can't ever forget y'all. Never. No erasure. Yeah, it's a funny thing. And the funny thing too is that I have majority men, because even though compared to most streamers, especially female streamers, I actually have a more balanced out demographic. This is Twitch, and mostly the majority of Twitch viewers are men. So by default, I don't know if it's every streamer, but the majority of streamers do have majority male audiences, majority male communities. I'm very proud to have such a more of a balance in mine, because I want female viewers to feel like they have a place to be as well. I want more women to watch Twitch. I don't want them to feel like it's not a platform for them. But yeah, that's the like that's the joke of it, of thinking that my whole thing is just saying to men over and over again that I hate you guys and that every single man is the same. I would bet even Pokey has majority male viewers. Twitch overall is majority male viewers. Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Emmy Rue told me that she has 95% men, which is typical for female streamers. Especially big female streamers.
It's not if I like it.
And if you think this type of
let me go back.
It's a well-documented phenomenon that women who dare to impede on this territory are constantly subjected to dehumanizing threats.
Oh, be honest with me. Do you know what feels like?
Yeah, so this was a clip that had gone viral. At least I saw it going viral on Twitter, where he said, "You know what rape feels like?"
No, I don't actually.
Well, do you want to know?
Are you saying you're gonna me?
It's not if I like it.
And if you think this type
Very
of
cool.
messaging is exclusive to
Very
entertainment,
normal.
check out this video that recently resurfaced of what was proudly preached in a North Carolina church last summer.
You'll find more women going to have shorts on than you will with pants and dresses.
Multiple people have told me that I must have misheard you. I thought I heard you saying something specific about his physical attributes. My apologies if I did not. I do agree with you on everything you say. Yeah, before you throw out a wild accusation like I'm body shaming, that's pretty big thing to say. I don't know, maybe just understand who I am as a streamer and you get some verification on that before you say something crazy like that. They did a study of men who are better at games treat female teammates better than men who are worse at worse rankings. Does not surprise. Once again, thank you for creating one of the best communities on Twitch, one that's welcoming and comforting for all who need it. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, man, gaming. I always think like, ooh, being a streamer who talks about things. Man, what it invites in. What misogyny it invites in. And then I think about women in gaming, and I've had so many conversations with streamers, female streamers who are specifically gamers. And it is so toxic. It is so disgustingly toxic. And I don't know. I think maybe I think my blessing as a streamer is that from the get-go, I have always talked about things. I've always been opinionated. And so, yeah, it opens me up to some pretty serious shit. But like my community is built around that. And I think with gaming, and I've even talked to male gamer friends of mine like Noah when the whole Harry Potter game came out, and Noah, like other streamers was making statements in stream about how transphobia has no place in his chat, yada yada, and how because he's a gamer and he doesn't talk about issues normally, people were not receptive. Even like, I mean, like people who probably watch him all the time were not receptive to hearing him even mention the word trans. It's like, wait a second, buddy. What's going on here? Anyway, many female gaming streamer friends of mine have talked about how because it's already such a toxic environment, especially like the FPS community. I mean, look at everything with Kaide. Look at Kaide. Kaide did not want to win the award for, what was it, Valorant or just FPS in general. She didn't want to win because of how much misogyny she deals with. And so it's like, that's just the baseline. Imagine if they started to talk about what they fucking deal with. Like if they, you know, if these female gaming streamers decided to talk about their experiences, which sometimes they do, and it's like the misogyny just doubles and triples. So I'm actually glad for the position that I'm in. I'm actually glad that I am not in that toxic space where it's so difficult for women, especially women who succeed, especially women who are really good gamers. Grace Van Dien as well. She did nothing to deserve it. Yeah, I mean, we saw that whole situation. Anyway. Anywho. Okay, we're going to finish this.
Put together. I used to say this.
Oasis, thank you for the gifted.
I said, if you dress like that and you get and I'm on the jury, he's going to go free. You don't like, do you? I'm right, though.
Okay, you'll be dead soon.
Man's a man.
Well, that guy's going to hell. That was Bobby Leonard. And the fact that he was allowed to state from that pulpit what I can only describe as a confession without being dragged out the front doors by his starched collar is a condemnation on that entire congregation. So gentlemen, I guess it's our bad. Our bad for believing you are what you say you are and believing you'll do what you say you'll do. But you're going to have to choose. Either A, men are mindless creatures incapable of controlling their urges so they cannot be blamed for acting on them, or B, men are complex, rational human beings who must take responsibility for their actions. You cannot have both. We are all constantly bombarded with news of the terrible things that men do to women. Our society is obsessed with it, fetishizes it, yet women are expected to turn a blind eye? That is until, of course, something happens to you. Then you're interrogated, shamed for not knowing better, not taking the proper precautions. It's a classic catch-22. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think the way we talk about gendered violence is completely wrong. We approach the issue as if the male population is neatly divided into good guys and bad guys, but that's not an accurate reflection of human behavior or society at all, is it? If we limit our perspective to isolated incidents, to bad apples, it allows men who don't participate in the most heinous crimes to—
I love that she used this from Midsummer.
Get defensive, say, not I, and stop listening. But it isn't just men who don't attack women and men who do. It's men who don't attack women and men who don't see the harm in a little locker room talk at the office once in a while. I mean, come on. It's just how men are. It's men who have that one friend in their friend group who they know harasses women, but that's just Todd. You don't get it. That's just how Todd is. It's men who keep demanding a woman's phone number over and over and over again, even though she's already told him she's not interested.
All my homies hate
You
Todd.
see, if we view male violence as an integrated system where the action and inaction of the good guys fuels and shields the worst offenders, then that's something that every single man can participate in dismantling by calling out bad behavior, supporting victims, and leading by example. But if you're a man that just feels angry and personally attacked by the bear versus man hypothetical, instead of seeing it as an opportunity to be the type of man a woman would feel safe alone in a forest with, then you're probably not the good guy you think you are. Well, guys, this has been fun, and also excruciatingly hot, but I have to go back to the forest now. Goodbye!
Great video. I'm gonna link this for y'all. Please follow their YouTube if you have not already. It's FunkyFrogBait, who is very funny and also very smart and I love their takes. Proof that choosing the bear is always right. Tourists in Mexico have a tense encounter with a black bear. The bear. And then the bear turns around. Oh! Oh, see? If the bear is not perceiving you as a threat. Yeah, do not feed the bear. Do not feed the bear. Do not threaten the bear. Do not give the bear cocaine. Especially do not give the bear cocaine.